Welcome everyone to the April 14 meeting of the City of Victoria Parks and Recreation Commission. All right, good afternoon, Director. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. All right, call this meeting to order. First up is citizens communication, and I see no one is present for that item. So we'll move straight into the approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review? Do I have a motion to accept?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the motion carries. All right, moving into item D, other business. I turn it over to our director.
All right. Good evening, Chair and Board Commissioners. Today we have a full agenda. We are first going to receive an update from the YMCA, and then we're going to move into restroom best practices, as well as a department update and capital improvement projects today. So looking forward to sharing some information with you. And without any more from me, I give you Mr. Bud Oliver, who is here for an aquatic update.
Thank you, Lisa. Madam Chair, Commissioners, staff, great to be with you again here. And I'm glad I'm in front of the restroom discussion. That's always good. But put a little PowerPoint together for you, and I thought I'd try to spice it up and make it not so boring when you get into numbers and financials. That can get a little boring, but next slide is a little history about the Y. But the first indoor pool in the U.S. was at the Brooklyn Y in New York in 1885. It was 14 foot by 45 feet by 5 feet, and it was just a body of water. It was unfiltered. It just sat there, and they didn't clean it much. I think every week they would drain it and clean it, and got to be kind of a cesspool, a lot of bacteria and stuff floating around in there. And so the medical community back at that time were like, no, don't go to the pool. Don't go to the Y pool. But it took them 25 years to come up with the first indoor filtered pool, which is in Kansas City at the Y. A gentleman kind of developed the rim for the pool, and then which was in 1909, and then 1910 they installed the first filtered pool in Kansas City. So the second pool, oldest pool, the second pool that was built was in Detroit in 1886. Back at the end of 1886, I think there were 17 indoor pools in the country. So if you notice let me ask you this: do you notice anything different about those pictures?
Men.
Men is one, but
Dark.
they're naked, yeah, and they're not wearing anything. So at that time, they thought that any clothing that they wore into the pool would then cause problems in the pool with the filter system. So they did not allow clothing. Now, when they started allowing women in, then they did allow the clothing. But that wasn't for some time. And I had a incident in Lincoln, Nebraska. I was a director at the Y in Lincoln, and had a gentleman come up to the front desk, a visitor, older gentleman, checked in. Our pool was on the bottom level, so you went down the stairs, but just walked by the front desk, checked in, went downstairs, and I heard this big scream from the pool. Whoops. Our pool was below street level, but we had windows all along the street. Well, this gentleman had not been to the Y in years and walked out onto the pool deck naked. We had a female lifeguard. She screamed, and he screamed also and took off. But that was in the late 80s, so
Wow.
There were still people that were doing that. And in August of 1891, I'm sure you've all heard that the Y invented basketball. So that was invented in 1891, December of 1891, in Springfield College. And Springfield College was a place where YMCA directors went to learn how to be Y directors. And James Naismith was an individual who invented basketball. at Springfield College. Well, they had their first water football game was played at Springfield College. There were 9 people per side, which was the same thing for the basketball a few months later, because that was in August of 1891 at Springfield College. And that's kind of the forerunner of water polo, some other things. So the Y's been instrumental in a lot of things over the years. Another thing that we invented or were part of was first group swim lessons. George Corson was a gentleman from Canada who went to the Detroit Y in 1909 and came up with group swim lessons. He did a lot of dry land training for the kids, and for the one, like I said, was the first that did group swim lessons for the Y. And this next slide was not included in your packet, but this gives you an idea of, there it is. I didn't see that. What we're currently managing. So we currently manage pools for the city of Port Lavaca, for Edna, for Point Comfort, for Palacios, and Bay City. And there's 2 in Bay City that we manage, and we'll be managing this summer. Another exciting thing that we've been working on for some time, Bay City and Matagorda County has been working on trying to bring an aquatic center to Bay City. We've secured the funding. It'll be a $15 million aquatic center. It'll have a competition pool plus a therapy pool, and then an outdoor recreation, slides, fun type things, splash pad for the kids. So that's slated there. They are hoping to push ground or push dirt this summer, and it'll be open late 2026 or early 2027. So it'll be a competition pool, high school. It'll be quite the center. And we came in a couple years ago, and as we'll see tonight, and as you work with aquatics, it's really, you can't make a pool break even or make money. So how do you do it? Well, you add other programs to it. So that's what we're doing in Bay City by bringing other Y programs to it. And we're currently doing after-school programming and some other small programs in Bay City. For us, it's all about safety around water. As you see the statistic, drowning is the #1 cause of death for children ages 1 through 4, and #2 cause of unintentional injury death for children in the 5 to 14. That's according to the CDC. So with as much water as around here, and you got the Gulf close, it's very, very important that kids learn how to swim. Plus, they need to learn how to be safe around water. Not so much swimming, but then, how do I approach other bodies of water? So that's kind of a little history, a little FYI. These are the financials that in your packet that was I presented the last time I was here. As you can see, and then I've added 23 and 24. So in 2023, we ran a deficit of about 119, a little over 119,000. And then in 2024, we actually got it down to a little over 80, I think 89,000. So yeah, 89,146 for the pool.
What do you mean by that, Mr. Oliver, so you're operating under negative, it's always like you said earlier,
Yeah, it's kind of a given,
and that,
there's some Ys that aren't putting pools in anymore, just because, they can't program it enough and can't, make enough money on membership and other programs to offset the costs that it costs you to run a pool. So, it's a loss leader type thing. We know it's gonna lose money. How do we make it lose as little as possible?
and so that variance number, I was just going through that. even though it reflects a positive number, that's actually a negative number. Is that correct?
Which variance you looking at?
Just pick a year.
Okay, well, if you look at 2024, we actually lost 89,146. We were budgeted to lose 52, so we lost a little more than we had
Okay, I understand now.
anticipated. So that was a negative 36. So some we don't lose as much as we had budgeted, but most of the time we're pretty close to. Next slide is an update on the utilities and kind of the overhead. You see 2023 and 2024. I mean, we've been pretty consistent. 2023 was up a little bit, 116, almost 117,000, but then 2024 we brought it back down to 103 for utilities, insurance, admin. Insurance was a biggie. 2 or 3, I think it was 3 years ago. Our insurance went up $150,000 for the whole association. We went with another insurance carrier, and they were able to bring it down that 150. So that's the main difference you see between 23 and 24 is we've gotten a new insurance carrier. They've come in and we've renewed for this year, but we operate what we call Sand Crab Plaza, which is the facility in Port Lavaca. It's a mixed use of the Y is there, but then we also lease space. We have Tractor Supply. We have a couple other entities that are in leasing. So our insurance carrier said you don't qualify now, or that doesn't qualify under the nonprofit. And so now we've had to split out Sand Crab Plaza, and so our insurance has gone up again. So not that much, but still it has gone up this year. This slide I've added for you, and it's just, how do we make money? I mean, where's it coming from? If you just look at the aquatics department, and I went back to 2017, you see the swim lessons are pretty consistent, other than, of course, 2020 when COVID and we weren't open that much. That was a down year. But you can see swim lessons kind of rebounded and came back up, and we were back to about 23,000 in 2024. Entrance fees, though, they kind of struggled. I mean, after COVID, the next year was still kind of low, about 12,000. We did get it back up to 19 or 20 in the next couple of years, but then last year we were back down again to 14,231. So we had less kids, less people coming through the pool. So I'm like, well, okay, what was the issue? And it was a colder than normal summer for us, but the other thing that we looked at too were rentals, and as you see on here, the rentals were down substantially also. So we're still looking at, okay, what did we do differently, or what's going on, what was going on, and how can we make sure that doesn't happen again? The offsite pool is the revenue we get from the Edna pool. So the Bay City and Port Lavaca, they're on a different. They're on Calhoun County and Bay City financials.
Yeah, that was, I was going to ask that. So this is for the Victoria
Correct.
and Edna pools, or aquatic
Yes.
centers? or-
Correct. Yep. Just the Briggs branch and Edna
Okay.
are on these financials.
So is this a trend that will probably continue? Just generally, revenue will decrease over time?
Well, I hope not.
Well-
I hope we'll bounce back on entrance fees. I mean, swim lessons have been pretty consistent. The other thing that does affect us is turnover, and especially in a few categories for us. Childcare is always a struggle for us. Custodial, trying to find janitors and custodial, and then aquatics is, you're hiring lifeguards and swim instructors, and we're only open so many months out of the year, so trying to retain them and keep them is tough. So we've we've made an effort, and, you know, United Way, I have a United Way tomorrow morning, and one of the questions from the United Way board was they looked at our salary and wages, and our salary and wages have gone up every year for the last 4 years. And we, as an association, thought it's important that we pay our people well, and that we try to keep them. And again, we're competing with, you know, Chick-fil-A and all the others that are paying those kids a lot more than we can pay them. And, you know, I think a lifeguard is a heck of a lot more responsible job and tough job than, you know, being at a counter. I mean, you're life and death in that position. So our wages have gone up the last 4 years, and we do have a new aquatics, not new, she was with us last year, but she's now full-time now. And so we hope with Heather that she'll impact that. Because you see that in childcare, you see that in programs, and that if you get good people and you keep them and they're consistent, then the numbers will grow. Because they're interacting with the public, they get comfortable with them, they understand how they operate, and, you know, they can bring more people in. So we're challenging Heather to bring these numbers back and get more lessons and get more people in the pool this coming year. So next slide is the schedule. So that's our projected schedule for this coming summer. And I think we have about 25 hours of open swim for everybody. And you know, we're honored to be the public pool. We want to continue to be the public pool and work with you to try to get as many people through the gates as possible, and then try to teach as many swim lessons and get as many people through the program to affect that change. So with that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I think, you know, one other long-term goal that I have is how can we keep that pool open year-round? There are pros and cons to putting a structure over it, and so we've kind of been going through those and looking on, okay, how can we do that? How can we keep it open year-round? We're adding our lap swimming again this year, bringing that back, so hopefully that'll bring some more people in. But you know, we're not the only place in town. That's the problem. You know, you got the school aquatic center that we're competing against, and some other small neighborhood pools, and the citizens too. But, so. Yes, sir.
I have a question. You mentioned that drowning is the #1 cause of death for infants. I know there's a nationwide program, or at least scattered throughout the country, of training very small children. I mean, you know, like, I think they start at 2 or 3 months to drown-proof them. I know there's a program in Hallettsville, a friend of mine runs it, but have you considered something like that? I see that, and they do it early in the morning, so I see that on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, you have that 7:30 to 8 slot open. Is that something you would consider or should consider?
I'm familiar with that program. I was in Orlando, Florida. The person who started that program was from there, and so we ran it at our branches. And I've fielded a lot of phone calls from other people about that program, because they took them, 6 months younger, and the way that program does is it puts them in the water and it throws them in the water, and kids start screaming. And so everybody thinks we're killing, you know, you're doing something bad to those kids. But we looked into that. It's expensive to get a person certified to teach that. And but we did look at that, and we did have one that I think she was certified, and she may still be here in Victoria. that was teaching that. But I'm trying to remember, the ISR, I think, was the acronym for that. or
Sounds about right.
Something, yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a great program. We had 34 testimonials about from parents who went through that program, and then later, because everybody in Orlando, I think, has pool in the backyard, of their kid falling in the pool and saving themselves because of what they were taught. And I saw, because they teach the kid how to roll and then get to the side, and then they also teach them. They put them in clothes and throw them in the pool fully clothed, and then they're able to do that also. So they do it with clothing because normally the toddler is going to have clothes on when they go out and they fall into the pool. So yeah, it's a great program. We can certainly take a look at it and do that, because it's got some great benefits. And it was expensive for the parents too. It wasn't cheap.
I have no idea what it costs. I mean,
Yeah, it
like I
was-
said,
it's-
a friend of mine runs the program. I went to the graduation last year, so.
Yeah, if you want to give me your name, maybe I'll reach out to her, and if she's willing to come to the Y and teach parents. Yeah, it was a great program. We like I said, I was happy with the results from what we had.
But do you still offer lifeguard certifications every summer,
Yeah.
which is a great program?
Oh yeah, and I think we have a good number of lifeguards coming back this year, which is good. It's always tough to retain those, but I think part of that is we're paying them a lot better.
I know it's a good service for the whole community to be able to go to the Y and get certified for lifeguards that want to work all summer.
Yeah, and they can take that certification with them, which is good. So if they do go to A&M or UT or wherever they go, and they can get a job at one of the pools up there and continue to make some money. And that's why I'm hoping that we can at some point open year round and keep them employed all year round instead of just in the summer.
My contact for the ISR program is Paula Cunningham. I can give you the phone number
Can you
afterwards.
send that to me? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Lisa. Yeah, if you want to give Lisa the
Okay.
info, she can send it to me. Yeah. Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you so much for coming to give us an update. I know that every year we'd like to hear what the Y is doing, given that the city doesn't have a city-wide pool. We have our splash pad, so it's just always really informative to see the open swim when our community can get out there and participate. So really appreciate your time in this slideshow.
Yeah, well, and like I said, we're happy to be the community pool. We want to continue to be the community pool. So PR it, tell people to come to the Y. It's, sometimes they don't get the right message and they think, oh, I can't go to the Y because it's a Y. But it's a public pool, and we tell people that. So hopefully we can get the numbers back up
Absolutely.
this summer.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we look forward to that continued partnership. So if there's no more questions, we will move on to the next segment, which is our restroom best practices. Kim Martin, who is our park supervisor, will be presenting the information today, and we're glad to have her here. All right.
Hello.
Hi.
Doesn't get down with the short people.
Being my friend.
We're gonna go over park restroom facilities best practices. Park restrooms best practices are procedures that are accepted as being correct or most efficient. This is a picture of our new bathroom at Tracy. On this slide here is our park facilities. We're just the parks of how many restrooms we have. We have a total of 10 restrooms within the park's facilities. With the men's have 20 toilets or urinals and a total of 19 for the women. We have some pictures of the other parks. So the next slide is just, I don't know if you have all seen what these restrooms look like. So that's kind of just a few pictures. The next slide is our sports facility restrooms. We have a total of 3 sports facilities with 17 restrooms for the men, toilets or urinals, and 28 toilets for the women's. So we have more toilets for the sports facility than we have out in the public parks. The one picture is the YMCA. Well, they got titles. So best practices are types of house cleaning, or housekeeping, routine maintenance, preventative maintenance, program support, schedule improvements, and emergency repairs. So those are kind of the guidelines underneath best practices that we try to follow. For housekeeping, I'm not used to hearing myself talk, I'm sorry.
Let me add this really fast. So Kim has been with us for 25 years, and we just celebrated her 25 years. And so she's our expert with this, so she's gonna rock.
Yeah, but the sound is, okay, so I have to get used to it. So with housekeeping, a few people, I think you've all asked kind of what we use. For cleaning restrooms, we use a chemical that's called HDQC2. This is a hospital-grade disinfectant that kills a broad spectrum of microorganisms. We don't use bleach. Bleach is very corrosive. It will eat the stainless steel. It will, it's not recommended. It's if they don't get it washed down good and things like that. It eats everything up pretty much. This is kind of what we do at our sports facilities. They get cleaned once a day. We try to get there every couple hours with each event. So we'll bring in extra people on big tournaments to help maintain those restrooms to keep checking them. Routine maintenance, there's just a short list of what we do for a month, like pressure washing, fixing fixtures, things like that. Kind of do the bi-weekly in the same field for the sports facilities because they get probably used a lot much more than the other ones due to tournaments. Preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance is we want to go around and we check things. We make lists, and fix major things that we can fix, and just review the facility itself, do some painting, whatever we need to do to keep it up. But we will do like graffiti removal on a daily basis. We just recently, today, had graffiti in a restroom, so it's immediately painted over as soon as we get notified that we have it. On my last slide, with the best practices, the program support. So I don't know if I want to, read this slide to you guys. Program support, the schedule improvements and emergency repairs that's kind of how we work our things. Working with our budgets, that's how we got our new Tracy bathroom. And then with the scheduled maintenance, that helps us also plan to budget for major repairs at some of our restroom facilities. So that's kind of what I have for you. Do you have any questions? One.
How do we balance the needs of the homeless or unhoused population with the needs of keeping the restrooms clean?
So I know they use our restrooms. Sometimes they use them to sleep in at night. When the guys get there, we'll kindly ask them to leave. A lot of our restrooms are not locked, so we can't really control unless a police officer goes in after park hours to ask them to leave. They still use them. It's a public restroom. I don't know if I'm really answering the question.
Are the restrooms, what are the hours available for the restrooms on the square? Because I know they're locked.
Oh, at De
part of
Leon
the
Plaza?
time. Right.
I would have to get you that answer. I know my guys go there on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and they probably open them around 7 a.m. I'm not sure who goes back and locks them. The auto locks are not functioning at this time from what I'm aware of. But I'm not sure during the week what time they're opening or actually locking them.
Because of Main Street having
Yeah, because Main Street actually controls that. But we can find that out.
Did everybody catch that? So the Daily on Plaza restrooms are maintained by the Main Street project during the week, and then the Parks and Recs department maintains them on the weekends.
Do you think it's a problem with the homeless? Are you having a problem up there? Not
Every
really.
once in a while that I'm aware of, but it's not constant.
Okay,
I mean, I don't know about downtown. I
Right.
haven't heard them complain or say anything about the homeless downtown. I mean,
Okay.
we do get a few at the community center or a couple other bathrooms in the park, but
okay.
oh, like cleaning supplies? Well, okay,
Part it
so
up, right?
So she's talking about inventory, but I will probably tell you more about the procedure, how they're supposed to clean the bathrooms. So when they go to a restroom, they should pick up all the trash, remove all the toilet paper. They would take the chemical that we used to clean with and totally spray down everything, the toilets, the walls, the floors, and it has to remain on surface for about 5 minutes to totally disinfect. Then they would wash it down, scrub out their toilets, their sinks, dry their toilet seats, and put fresh paper into the restrooms. The restrooms in the public parks, we do not have paper towels at. And the reasons for that is because one or two people will take all those paper towels and shove them in the toilet and cause damage or, a gigantic clog. But at the sports facilities, we do have some paper towels or a hand dryer. And because the people are renting the place, it seems to be more, we don't have that issue. We've had hand soap in the bathrooms. They always, public restrooms or the park ones, they will tear them right off the walls. We have diaper changing stations at a few of our restrooms. They only last a year before you, or less, that you have to replace them because they beat them up. We have hand dryers, let's say community center park, restroom. Let me go back if I can find that restroom. That was one of our newer restrooms by the splash pad. This one here had, when it came, that's not that one. When it came, it's kind of like the new one at Tracy, built-in hand dryers. They've been stolen at least 2 times at a couple $100 a piece. They'll take them right off the wall. We did try locking the one at the community center splash pad and only opening it up during the splash pad hours, but then the people from the tennis courts and things need to use it too, so it remains unlocked. So all the restrooms are pretty much unlocked all night long. So that's kind of the history of the restrooms.
Could you give us that ratio that you told me the other day about how many restrooms there is to people? I thought that was very, very good.
That was,
Yes, sir. When we do special events, the standard is usually 100 to 1 facility. And so we took that number and you can look at that and, for special events and stuff, even though the daily owned bathroom is there, if we start having 2,000 to 5,000 people down there, we do add portalets to the area because to service that many people, it's a pretty good number to go by.
I thought that was, wow.
any
Thank you.
more-
That was very good.
That's it?
I'm happy.
Hope you're happy?
I'm happy.
All right, thank you, guys.
And the restrooms there at the sports complex are a lot cleaner now. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. I like to put her on the spot. So when to hear,
my first one.
that's her first one. I want to add her first presentation. So
5
I
years.
told her to warm up. She did a wonderful job.
did.
Kim takes a lot of pride in our facilities, and she has a wealth of knowledge. So you will be hearing more from her about our park maintenance divisions and how they operate each day. We really want to have you all plugged in and understand how much pride we take in our work. I'm amazed by the level of detail that's required in just one given day. Vehicle assignments, uniform ordering for our parks. I mean, it's amazing. So kudos to Kim and her team. She has 3 crew leaders that are leading the charge. So we look forward to hearing more. All right, so next we have our department updates. And luckily, Mr. Rolando is here to give us updates on AJGA. There you go.
Evening, everyone. Hello. So AJGA, that was now 2 weeks ago. It was April 3rd through the 6th. This year was the 3rd year of our initial agreement with the AJGA to host for 3 years.
Tell us what that is.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah.
For those of us that.
American Junior Golf Association.
That's what, okay. Thank you.
So it's a group that's been around for a long time. They've had players such as Tiger Woods and some of the other guys you've seen on professional tour that have grown up through their tournaments, their events. That are hosted all over the U.S. They do have international players. We had I don't have the stats from this year yet, but the past couple years we've had anywhere from 5 to 7 international students that are playing, as well as anywhere from 11 to 15 different states that are represented as well. So just a group of kids that are traveling, trying to get into a little bit more high profile events where you're playing against better players. It's great for them to be able to compete against better competition. It's good for getting into college and looking at moving into the next step or the next level of golf for them. And AJGA has one of their great statistics that they like to use is they put about 95% of their kids that are active and playing in their events into some type of college program. So a lot of their kids, it's not all D1, they're not all gonna go play at UT or A&M or anything like that, but any level of college, a lot of those kids that are active and playing in their circuit and in their events are playing some type of college golf at some level. So it's awesome. One of the great things about AJGA is after they run their event, they try to do everything through as many sponsors as they can. And at the end of their event, any net profit that they see from their events goes back to one of their programs that supports kids that are good enough to be able to play in their events but cannot financially support themselves or their families can't do that for them. So they do have a program. I don't remember the name of the program off the top of my head, but that is one of the things that they feed through their events is being able to take some of these youngsters that have the skills and the ability to play in these events but don't have the financial means to do that, so they're able to support them in some of those events. So we've had AJGA for 3 years. We actually just re-signed a new 3-year agreement, so we'll be hosting for 26, 27, 28, and that was passed through the March 17th council meeting. So we'll continue to host what is called the Victoria, Texas Preview for the next 3 years as well. So it's been a great event. We see from the past 2 years, and again, I don't have the updated numbers yet for economic impact, but from the past 2 years, we've seen about $650,000 of economic impact within the initial 2 years. So about $300,000 that we're seeing from hotel stays. And AJGA is great about providing these numbers to us. They do a great job of questioning their kids as they sign in, register for their events when they're actually here in town, and we're seeing about 400 to 450 room nights from that event. So the event in itself is a 3-day event. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a field of 96, so 96 players actually get into the event, and that gets cut to the top 60% into Sunday. So those kids are here for the week. The Thursday of that week, they have an open qualifier. So any kids that were not invited to the event based on their star rating or the number of events that they've played, they can come and openly try to qualify to get into the event. And there's typically 18 to 24 spots or so that are available that they can win a spot into the event. So on that Thursday, we actually have an open qualifier. I think this year they had 70 participants in that. And then the Thursday afternoon, we have official practice rounds for any of the kids that don't want to play in the qualifier or that have already been invited to the event. So that Thursday is the only day that we're completely closed for the event. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're open in the afternoons to public play. So yeah, so we've re-signed. It's been a great event for us to be able to host. It's awesome to see just a number of states represented, having some international kids, and these guys are all really good. They're not out there messing around. I mean, they're serious. We'll have kids that'll show up the weekend before the event, and they're there for an extra 3 or 4 or 5 days, and they're out practicing every day. They're putting and hitting golf balls, playing the golf course. So it's awesome to see. It's a fun event to have. It's great to be on their radar. Great to be able to rehost and actually have them asking us. They've been asking me since the end of last year to sign a new agreement. So as we've worked through kind of some of the little pieces to that and making sure the calendars work out for each other, we finally got that done, and we're excited to have them for the next 3 years again. It's been a great event for us. Any questions?
Congratulations on another 3 years.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome, thank you.
We definitely look forward to more occasions on our Riverside Golf Course. It really shows off the quality of what we have to offer here in Victoria. So I wanted to highlight, before Steve comes up and gives our capital improvement project update, I wanted to share about an event that took place here recently at the community center. Let me pull this up.
I have one question right quick. So those hotel stays, 300,000, that's gonna, in the future, help pay for this community center upgrade, correct?
I was thinking the same thing.
I do believe some of that funding is going to come from hotel stays. That 300,000 is overall economic impact, so it might be from hotel stays, but spending it, stores, food, rental cars, any of that other stuff. So it's a combination of all those things.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, thank you for your questions. So I wanted to highlight about the Mid-Coast Hurricane and Disaster Conference. Thought this was a good time to highlight that the capacity levels at our community center are just rising. 788 attendees, that was the chair count. So we're talking about the full region came just for this emergency preparedness. And as you can see, we covered everything from border security to community counterterrorism, public health, community preparedness. And many of our team members were a part of this conference. We broke out into breakout sessions in the rooms that you probably frequent, which are Annex and the Dome. It was just beautiful to see. And so we're looking forward to hosting events of this size moving forward. So I thought that bring that to your attention. Again, we're highlighting another one of our parks facilities to capacity and looking forward to more.
And were those attendees that were from all over the South Texas or?
All over. Steve, did you want to
Yes,
highlight
all
some
over.
more?
We had some from Dallas as well coming down, but Houston, the Valley. This is one of their larger one this year. I've been going to it for the last 3-4 years, so it's a really big event.
Good.
And if you're wondering if Steve won something again, he did. He won another backpack.
winner.
It's just lucky. All right. And then lastly, I wanted to share with you I know. Every time I look at it, I get more and more excited. I know. A round of applause to our human resources team, really working in partnership to bring on some very quality candidates. And these are just a few. Our vacancies are just about finished, but I know when I spoke some months back, we were looking for a sport tourism and recreation supervisor, and we have found him. His name is Mr. Jerry Ortiz. His first day was today. I told him to take a break for today. I wanted to make sure that he got his feet wet. We did the community center master plan meet and greet today from 1 to 3, and he was able to introduce himself to others. But you will be seeing him in our next board meeting, and he'll come before you to share some few things. Also, we have a new recreation coordinator who will team up with Mr. Elijah Ramos, who's been with the city for 2 years. We are excited for his experience coming to the table. He is also very vetted into our adult sport league, so he's going to be able to add some insight there. And this has been day 3 for him.
8.
Oh, goodness. you know, just cover up that 3 and make it an 8. 8 days, and they are settling right in. So if you ever want to stop by and just see their office space and give them a high five, we're rooting them on. We also have a new crew leader. Kim was in need. We designed a position to add a 3rd crew lead. His name is Colton Harp. And then we have a part-time recreation worker, Joshua Jr., and we really would love to call him JJ, but we don't know that yet because we think that's a really cool nickname. But these are all part of our new family, and I thought that I'd bring that to your attention. We're excited to do some great things moving forward.
That's great news. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you so
filling
much.
those
We've been
positions.
working hard.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you. All right, so next we're gonna have our capital improvement updates. And if you just bear with me a second, so let me pull this up here, you got it over here. Okay, pardon me. Let me make sure I got the right one. My apologies, just one second. Let's see this. That one says it too. That's okay, I'll get it pulled up.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Go ahead, you can.
All right. Well, we're going to pull that slideshow up here just a minute, but I'll go through the second part of that slide because the first part is one of the more exciting pictures I want to show. So hopefully we get that here in a second. So for some stuff that is coming up, what next here as we move into the spring and summer timeframe, we did talk and had a meeting with engineering. The multi-use fields over there off of Red River, where the soccer fields are at, they do plan to start in after the season in late May, early June, where the old community center slab is, to start demolition of that slab and remove the dirt and stuff to prepare it for the future parking and enhancements that we've been talking about. So that is on the radar for the engineering team, and we're very excited to enhance parking over there off of Red River for everybody's usage for events and stuff. Another exciting project that we've been working on with our grant team, as well as with our park supervisor, Ms. Kim, is along the hike and bike trail. There's 118 different lights, and a lot of them are the older heat compression type light when they come on for that. They come on at dusk to dawn over there, and the light bulb is an aging light bulb, and it's not that LED, less wattage, less usage, more efficient light. And so we were able to purchase a light and install it on one of them to make sure that when we go and start replacing more of them, that this new LED light will work. And so we found one that was a successful fit. Now, what Kim's going to be working on with the grant team is through the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program, there was a grant, and to help fund those actual lights now, about half the trail. And so that's going to be very huge for our team to start getting in and start putting that order together. It's roughly around $27,000 or so to get lights for about half of the lights, and then we'll work on the other half of those lights there.
Steve, are those solar
No, they're all electric LEDs.
LEDs? Sorry, you said that.
But definitely in any of the parks in general, as you know, at the dog park, there's those solar 9 lights there. We'll talk about that in a minute with Pine Street Park and stuff about solar lights. But anything that we try to do with lights is something that we're exploring, is to do solar for sure. Thank you. So here we are on the page 2 of the slide. So we just talked about the Lone Tree Hike and Bike to try to do that with the updated energy efficiency with that. the picture that you see here is an example of the kayak exit and the location at the new location north of the pump house. And so we issued to urban engineering some planning and development. Contract was awarded last council meeting on the 1st of April. And so now we'll start having meetings to go through these designing concepts. And so this is just an image of what it could potentially look like on an exit and takeout and road access. Although, again, just note that these are concepts because we still have to go through practicality. And in that area, the river does flood through that area off of John Lee. And so we want to make it as easy as possible for the kayakers as well as staff as well to maintain after a flood. So we'll be looking at that space over there very carefully. But this was identified and pinpointed as one of the best points as the river wraps around that bend there. You have to look at the flow of the water and how it comes through there to not affect the dock or the temporary dock that would be there or a floating dock, whatever scoped out. And then any type of retainage walls or other stuff that would need to be approved by the U.S. Corps of Engineers or the Guadalupe River Authority with flow of water and as it ejects out then around towards the pump house. You know, those are things that they're all going to study and make sure that they get it in the right spot. So just an example there of what the potential could be there, but that project will start being in place now to start us going on that process. And then as well, this is just something similar to how with the Ted B. Reed walking trail, we talked about that we're just waiting for approval and that should come out in a few months here. So this slide here on these 4 projects, is there any questions on these projects? Okay, perfect, awesome. So then we'll go to the first slide. For CIP improvements. And the first topic there is kudos to the golf course team. Rolando's still here in the crowd. Thank you very much. Working with the other staff and the finance team and stuff to identify deferred maintenance at the golf course for the golf pump well. And so many of you, if you go to the duck pond, there's 2 uses for that amenity. One, it services the recreation with the walking trail and the fishing and being able to go there and have events and take pictures for graduations or have small weddings and so on and sit around and have picnic. But it also services to irrigate the golf course. And in order to irrigate the golf course and keep us going, we needed to service the well pump after about 35 years. If you go, there's that little green building over there just off to the side, and that housing the motor and the systems, electronics, and then off to the side of that pond is the actual well and the water, how it comes into the smaller pond there. And so when they serviced that starting in December and January, they were able to clean out the sleeve. That's where the water would come up out of the ground and be able to look at the pump and the wires and the electrical that goes down to actually use that. To me, I'm pretty geeked out about it because, like, when you think about how water works and rainwater and everything else and how we just have our storage containers and stuff, originally when they went down and did the scope and did the pump, they found that there was in the sleeve some cracks and some sediment coming in, and it created some blockage around 75 feet down underground. And once they were able to clear through that and then get the camera all the way down, they went like 320 feet down. So it's super cool to kind of understand and see how that works and where they're getting this spring water and this fresh bred water to not only make the recreational amenity the way it is with the duck pond, but then to service it and then service the 18-hole, 27-hole golf course that we have. So it's really cool to do that and to be able to use that resource. It helps offset costs, and that we're not buying city water to water the golf course like other entities. So I think it's exciting that we're able to service ourselves in that way. One thing that we'll have to consider in the future for irrigation and improvements and green improvements or other fairway construction that we would need, this is a 15 horsepower motor that brings water about 350 gallons per minute into the pond. But if we needed to do much larger water recirculation to re-sod or reseed or just start from scratch the fairways and greens, we would need to have more capacity to refill the pond faster to be able to service the course with higher water volume. So we would have to look at adding another well somehow into that for some additional costs. So, this system as it is, if we're functioning the way we are, should last us quite a few years. But if we want to do future projects to really enhance the course more, we will have to have a supplemental system, which then in well will act as a backup anyway. So we'll continue to work with Rolando and the team on that for the golf course to help us with the course that we have here in the city of Victoria. So thank you again.
So the well pump has been approved, or this,
This is the fix. This is,
the
it's
fix.
all done. It was just
all done.
finished maybe 3 weeks ago.
okay.
So
And
it's
curious, what was the,
100% in
curious, what was
service.
the cost of that?
Liner.
So the original inspection was around $12,000, and then the actual repair was around $50,000, just under 50.
So let me ask you, never mind. Wasn't more efficient to maybe build a new well or drill a new well?
So the brand new well would have been around 250,000,
Okay.
Really expensive.
right? And like I said, and maybe Rolando too, if we get a supplemental well, it might be less because it'd be a secondary well at that point. So because we did the work we did now for this $60,000, $70,000, like that 250 wouldn't have to be spent on a secondary well because we know that we got the capacity already down to 320 feet. So, and that lifespan is what, 15 years even? So this well at 15 horsepower motor and everything, you know, purring like a kitten will last for 10 to 15 years. So it really just depends on that 10 to 15 years. What are we trying to do at the golf course for future repairs and expansion and replacing the entirety of the system? And then we would broach that. Yep, thank you very much. All right, awesome. Pine Street Park. So Pine Street is at 806 East Pine Street. One of the things, I brought a little nugget for you guys today. Pine Street is, property-wise, one of the oldest properties that we have in the park system. If you go by like De Leon Plaza, Memorial Square, being like original properties in the 1820s and stuff, you got Queen City in 1908, and then you start getting into like Riverside Park between the 1930s and 1940s as it came in. This one here was acquired in 1935. It was originally around some land that the Victoria National Guard Company had, and they were talking about doing some type of assembly hall there. And then the city in 1935 was talking about converting the grounds into a park space. However, with World War II, those plans were put on hold, and nothing really occurred until about 1968. The property, the 2 acres there, was turned over to the Boys and Girls Club. And that was the Boys and Girls Club until about 1989, and then it came back into the city hands. So by date and time, the park for us, only maybe going back to 1989, doesn't seem that old, but going back in some of the other history and the hands it might have touched or been in the last 90-some years. I just wanted to pass on some nuggets about that for the park. But if you go out to the current site and you go on the east side of the street, or East Street, that would be the west side, which is kind of funny, but it's East Street, but you're on the west side of the park. But the playground that's currently there in 2010 was much larger, and you can kind of maybe see more of the outline of where the pool was at that the Boys and Girls Club had. Then sometime in 2013, the foundation was kind of removed, but still the pool was there, almost like an hourglass figure or a shallow water entry to where that pool would have been to a deep end, and another playground was put in. And it's right now in its current state, about, even though it's 11 years old or so, maybe 12 years old, it's only got a tire swing, a small swing set, and just one small climber. It doesn't have any intergenerational play, nothing really for babies, and maybe something for teens or 12-year-olds, you know, but nothing that's really concrete of a playground. And so we identified this within the master plan study and within age and what we wanted to do with the park as, let's target this one next. If you recall, we did Ted B. Reed Park, Brownson Park, and now here we are on Pine Street Park. And so the image here is the design and concept from Fundabounds. This is a $362,000 project that's going to go to council tomorrow evening. There's several stages of this project. One, the current playground in its current state that provides play from 2 to 12-year-olds to include teeter-totter spinners, a little play pretend shop, swing set for toddlers as well as kids, and then is the movement challenge game in there. This playground is actually going to be moved off of the east side of the street, and it's going to be put over in the Pine Street side of the street. two things about this. One, we want to make sure that we can have continual play while construction's going on, just like we did with Brownson. So we're not going to blow up the current playground until we know we got the next one in. And that allows that there's free play throughout the summer. But the second thing is then we'll return the current playground space into just green space as well. So that's phase one, is taking the playground of this project and moving it and then making it more vast and bigger. But the core about this park, if you think about Pine Street, it's a 2-acre park. It's got sidewalk all the way around, plenty of off-street parking, and it's capable for many different activities when it comes to sport. And so the basketball court there will be power washed, clean, put some lines on it. There's already a soccer goal out there. Those soccer goals will be replaced and placed out there. And there's one batting cage. Many years ago, there used to be 2 batting cages, and then we're talking for T-ball coach pitch level of play, youth, smaller kids. That batting cage never got replaced after being damaged from a car wreck. So not only did we determine on the Ash side of the street to put in batting cage, but we're going to end up putting 2. So there'll be one on the corner of Ash and Goldman, and then one on the corner of Ash and East Street. And this will go along with the one that's already there at Goldman and Pine. So all 3 corners will have playing surfaces for kickball, for t-ball, coach pitch, or just more of an area maybe to kick a soccer ball against or something, and being in there along with the soccer. But now as those youth sport teams are out there using it, because one of our number 1 questions we get is where can teams go to practice? This will answer that, and they got a really cool big playground to play at while their family members are there playing. So it's a big win all around. Currently, there's 3 solar lights that were placed out there on the east side of the street. Those will be repositioned to each of those batting cage areas, not necessarily for a lighted field, but just for more security and safety. And
Can I ask a
yes.
question? You saying batting cages, are you talking about backstops?
Oh, yes, good correction. The backstops, batting
Okay, thank
backstops.
you.
So it's not like a cage or net where you're in, it's a backstop. Like I said, if you look at the corner of Pine and Goldman, you'll see the exact same batting backstop cage will be there for that. And each of the solar lights will be positioned for security and stuff, not necessarily intended for evening play or anything like that, but just that they'll be there for better lighting visibility. And then we're working with our community block grant to add 2 additional solar lights at that park, to cover the basketball court and the playground. The couple other things, if you go out there right now, none of those pads that are out there have shade except for the ones that are on Goldman and Pine because of the trees. The ones on Ash and East will get shade covers. So there'll be purposeful shade structure put up for parents to sit at a picnic table while they're have the play going on. So about 9 different aspects going on there at the park, but it'll really transform what that park and playground is. And so we're very excited to roll this out here. And we'd expect to be done between June and August. So we're trying to get done before September. Super cool stuff. And again, this is going to be through the Fun Abound program through Burke. They just did Ted B. Reed in the Brownson Park. We're really happy with that vendor and stuff. And we get a lot of great support from them, as well as just maintenance and assistance. So really, really happy to roll this out. And when you guys come out and we open this thing up with the Ribbon County, we're going to have a movement challenge. And we'll see how we can go. So I want to put that plug out there.
You're gonna win another backpack?
We're going to win that one. And then the other 3 things on the list as well, we're continuing to work diligently every day, working through the Brownson Walking Trail and Sidewalk Connectivity Project. And those solar lights that are going at Brownson Park, there's 2 that have been identified. And then in that grant, there's also 2 solar lights that we'll put in at Pine Street to wrap that one up. And as well as the Children Park and Splash Pad, I have nothing to report today on that. We're still wrapping that design contract up for that. And then we'll be starting some meetings at the golf course. Rolando and the engineering department and our team's going to be working to do some exterior landscape architecture look in how we can spruce up the front of that area, as well as T-box number 1 and 10, and some sidewalk connectivity and other things. So you'll start to hear from us coming up in the near future on that and what that may look like and we'll give more stuff for Rolando to talk about. So very excited for that. And if there's any questions, I'll take those now for those projects. Yes, sir, Harley.
As you redo some of the playground equipment, are you doing anything to enable disabled students or children to have some access?
Yes, so this here, I don't show the right picture, but this here will have the sidewalk from the sidewalk. The play structures will have accessibility to it. The teeter-totter, the spinner are all accessible from them, as well as getting on the transfer stations between that. It's pretty much almost standard practice that the playground companies these days have to include those requirements in there. Certainly, we would have choice too to how much of a level that we want to go to, but we are highly thinking about all of that for play. For sure, that's on our radar.
All right, thank you.
Good question, thank you. All right, Ms. Lisa.
So that concludes our presentations for today with the Parks and Recreation Department. I'll be happy to answer any further questions should you have those at this time.
Are there any more meet and greets at the community center before the upcoming May 3rd election?
At this time, I know this was the last one that was scheduled. So the May 3rd is the general election.
As always, if anyone has a question, they could
Absolutely.
call the city or visit there's a website.
There's a website, yes,
right.
with frequently asked questions. And even our communications department had some brochures as well. So those will be available.
And I think the mayor said he has a couple more presentations to do this week.
Okay, awesome, awesome.
All right. Any other questions? All right, then we are moving into item E, future agenda items. I see we already have an item, which is the Adopt a Park coming up. And is there anything else anyone wants to add for future agenda items? I know we made a request to have the chief of police come and visit at some point.
Yes, and that will be also discussed at our next meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
I just had a question. You had an idea one time for memorials, like where we could, how is that going? I thought that was such a good idea.
For memorials?
Yes, I thought we had an opportunity, like if someone passed away and they wanted to buy a bench or contribute money for a bench in their name or a tree, or do we have that opportunity?
So at this time, my understanding with the city is that it's handled on an ad hoc basis. So I had checked with legal just recently regarding a request with someone that was actually living, but they wanted to honor them in some form or fashion. At this time, we do not have that as a policy or any type of information to give you on that. But I will follow up and see if there's anything else that we can add or to the conversation moving forward. Absolutely.
Lisa, when it came up before, the idea was to create a park foundation, an entity that could take those type of donations and then, go forth with that.
Yes.
That idea, I believe is already existing foundation
Yes.
that could possibly be recreated, rolled into that. So that's where that left, but.
Because I've had two people ask me about, they wanted to do something in memory, and then somebody else that was living wanted to do something.
Yes. It's definitely is part of our discussion, and so I'll delve in a little deeper. I know also with the Parks Foundation, that's also something in our strategic planning. I'm sure once we hit our workshop time, that will definitely be entertained again. So I'm just trying to grab as much historical knowledge as possible and see where we're at, because I do know that there was an existing Parks Coalition. And I believe the last name was Ripka. So I look forward to meeting them and getting some more knowledge and bringing that before the.
Commissioner Rika, who's on the commission for a
Yes.
very long time. Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
She started it.
Wonderful.
All right, anything else for the future? All right, when is our next meeting? I know I have it on.
Should be May 12th.
May 12th, all right.
So, awesome.
All right, if that, and there's no other discussion or item, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? And a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good meeting.